Good morning, friends. Today we are going to talk about blood conservation strategy during cardiac surgery. This topic is more important for our first year students because nowadays the requirement of blood and blood products are increased day by day. Before we start how to conserve the blood during cardiopulmonary bypass, I want to give some introduction. The number of heart surgeries increase day by day. In comparison to adult, children are at more risk for post-operative bleeding, and the requirement of blood and blood products is very high because compared to adult, pediatric requirement is around 15 ml to 110 ml. Then adult require 150 ml per kg respectively. Recent study reviews say that overall the children requirement of blood is 40 to 75% of blood percentage of patient required blood products. So what are the risk and clinical factor of blood transfusion? As we know, the most common complication of blood transfusions are leukocyte related targeted organ damage, that is around 2 to 5%. Febrile non-hemolytic transfusion reaction is around 1%. Transfusion related lung injury TALI is 0.05%, and bacterial infection is around 0.05%. Blood transfusion lead to increase the incidence of infection, that sepsis, respiratory complications, acute lung injury, cardiac complication, that is low cardiac output syndromes, increase inotropic supports, renal complications, intensive care and ICU stay is increased, length of total duration for hospital is increased. Even if you use large volume of blood transfusion, the correlation with long intubation during ICU. So these are the risk factor for giving a blood transfusion to pediatric patients. So what are the challenges for pediatric patients? Children's, we know the children itself has a low blood volume in the body. At the same time, our cardiac circuit, that is extracorporeal circuits, volume is very high compared to their blood volume. So that time we need a blood transfusion or blood priming. Even the cyanotic patients, they have immature coagulation systems. Then we go for hypothermia. These all things will affect post-operatively in pediatric patients. Congenital deficiency of coagulation factor 7, factor 8 or von Willebrand factors further increase the risk of bleeding. Therefore, the blood transfusion, we have to very much strict how much blood and blood product is required during cardiac surgery. So what should be our strategy? We have a preoperative, intraoperative and postoperative strategy. In preoperative, we can say that autologous blood donation or erythropoietin therapy we can use preoperatively. Intraoperatively, you can use monitoring lines and sampling volume requirements. You can reduce your requirements. Acute normal volumic hemodilution you can do. Antifibrotic drugs we can use. Retrograde as a perfusionist, you can use retrograde autologous blood priming techniques. Miniature cardiopulmonary circuit, microplasia that you can use. You can include your ultrafiltration technique. Even you can use vacuum assisted venous drainage. Even nowadays we use a surface coated new circuit or oxygenator that will reduce your post-operative requirement of blood. Cell saver can even use for cardiopulmonary bypass. Spatial coagulation technique that you can use topical hemostatic agents post-operatively you can use. Even post-operatively you can use anti-fibrinolytic and drugs post-operatively. You can even use your cell saver post-operatively also. So these are the strategy that can you include in your cardiac surgery, and you can reduce your requirement of blood and blood products. We start with the autologous blood donation. So generally, with help of pre-surgery phlebotomy can done, 10 ml per kg of blood volume you can take take out from the patients and replace with 0.9% of normal saline, or you can use colloids. We preserve this product for 3 to 6 weeks. So this is a autologous blood donation technique. But this techniques require you have to convince your donor. You have to frequently go to the blood bank, and you have to we are going to indirectly increase the workload of blood bank. So these are the most disadvantage of autologous blood donation. Second thing, you can use erythropoietin therapy. This therapy is more fitted for anemic patients. Dose is around 30 microgram per kg before surgery of autologous blood donation, and you have to take care of your patients with iron level, vitamin C, K, and you have to take care of B12. The disadvantage of this erythropoietin therapy is hypertension and flu-like symptoms. During cardiopulmonary bypass, we should take care of monitoring lines and sampling volume, because when we are taking arterial line or central venous line or any other lines, that time try to do minimum puncturing system. So don't puncture more time. Even if it is bleeding, you can change handover change to is advisable. And more important is limiting frequently flushing the lines. So these are the more important during monitoring lines, sampling volumes. In this way, you can reduce your post-op requirement of blood. Even nowadays we have a good three stopcock with requirement of minimum bloods. Double stopcock techniques decrease the hemodilution, and we can conserve the bloods. Antifibrotic drugs that people are used like aprotinin or tranexamic acid, absolin aminocapric acid. These all drugs have their own advantage and disadvantages. How much you want to use, at what dose you have to use, what are the complications that you should know before trying this type of drugs in cardiopulmonary bypass or before giving to the patients. So this is a aprotinin. These are the pharmacological reaction, how it works in patients. This is aprotinin. Tranexamic acid, they have a 100 milligram per kg bolus dose. They have also some disadvantages. Epsilon aminocapric acids. So this is pharmacological things. As a perfusionist, we know how to do retrograde autologous priming. By this technique, you can reduce your 50 to 75% of your total priming volume in your circuits. After cannulating arterial and venous, it will take around 5 to 10 minutes to take out the whole priming from your arterial line, from your membrane, from your arterial filter, and you can reduce your priming volume around 50 to 75%. Same time, we should care about the patient's arterial pressure. It should not go less than 35 to 50 40 millimercury of pressure. If it is falling, then you give small dose of phenylephrine to maintain the arterial pressure. So this is a retrograde autologous priming. This is a circuit that generally this is a very standard circuit that generally all over the institute they use for retrograde autologous priming techniques. One more thing, that is miniature circuits. You can reduce your venous line, you can reduce your arterial line length. We try to reduce the venous line by applying vacuum assisted venous drainage, and this is a good technique, but for that you have to know how to manage the reservoir pressure or patient arterial pressure. So this is a miniature circuit, definitely reduce your total priming volume of patients. In this miniature circuit also you can include your oxygenator, that is a coated oxygenator that we use, and this coated oxygenator will definitely reduce the post-operative inflammatory response as well as decrease the volume and prevent the hemodilutions. So these are the miniature circuit advantages. In this study tell us that mini CPB circuit required 1/3 of the blood transfusion compared to conventional cardiopulmonary bypass. So this is a thing that we should know how to reduce by miniature circuits. Microplasia, everywhere now in most of the center they use microplasia technique to reduce total priming volume. This is very effective and very easy technique, that it is one part of your cardioplegia solution, and one part and 60 part of blood is given to the patient, and you can easily achieve your cardiac arrest. So for that we need a syringe pump, and with syringe pump you set your volume like 10 ml per minute roller pump. At the same time you manage 10 ml per hour of syringe pump and roller pump same amount. So that will give a very good cardiac arrest, and this way you can reduce your priming volume. In this technique also you do as per our protocol how much potassium you have to increase or decrease, how much volume you want to give cardioplegia. This is up to your protocol. So this is a microplegic technique, and that in this way we can reduce our priming, and we can salvage the blood during cardiopulmonary bypass. Ultrafiltration. This is a very well-known technique. Most of the institute and most of the textbook tell us about the ultrafiltration. In ultrafiltration you can use conventional ultrafiltration, you can use modified ultrafiltration, we can use pre-ultrafiltration techniques. With this technique we can reduce our blood volume as well as we can increase our hematocrit level. So these are the things for reducing the priming volume. So this is ultrafiltration techniques. This is a standard technique of ultrafiltration. This is for veno-venous technique, either from taking blood from direct venous and give back to the venous reservoir. Either we take blood from the pre-membrane and give back to the reservoir, or you can take blood from the patient suction or anywhere and give back to the reservoir. This is a veno-venous ultrafiltration technique circuits. Arteriovenous technique, this is you can take blood from post-membrane recirculation line, or from arterial line, or from directly arterial line to the venous reservoir. So this is the arteriovenous ultrafiltration technique. Vacuum assisted venous drainage. By this technique you can reduce your venous length, and even you can reduce your venous tubing size also, by applying negative pressure on negative suction pressure to the venous line, and for in this way you can reduce around 20-25% of your total priming of your venous line. For that you should have a pressure controlling venous assisted device, and this that around it should be more than not more than 40 millimercury of pressure. You can go up to 40 50, but same time your reservoir level, how the patient is tolerant, that you should keep in mind. So this is a vacuum assist device drainage. In this way also we can salvage the blood and blood products requirements. Surface modified bypass circuits, as we know the nowadays many techniques are used to reduce the inflammatory response, and in this way post-operative requirement of your blood and blood products are reduced. So there is a heparin coated circuits, or trillium coated circuit, or X coated circuits, methoxy phenyl silate phosphopolyclin circuit. There are many type of modified circuits are available in the markets. Even this they have low volume of membrane, so this way also we can reduce our priming volume. Now the cell saver techniques. The cell saver techniques generally we use for long bypass, or like patients who have a aortic aneurysm like case, or patients have arch repair or long bypass cases. For that we can use cell saving technique. With this technique we can use this technique on bedside also. For 24 hours we can use this technique. This is good technique. It will remove the coagulation factors, platelets, plasma proteins, and maybe may cause bleeding due to residual anticoagulant. And this is not only conserve the blood, but also remove the debris, and therefore decrease the risk of embolism also. So this is a cell saver that we use to reduce our blood and blood product requirements post-operatively. Hemostatic agents post-operatively also, there are many hemostatic agents are available. There is a Surgicel, Abgel, and Flosil, like these all hemostatics that can use post-operatively to reduce the blood products, and in this way you can use hemostatic agents for cardiopulmonary bypass. Thank you. Please send your answer to this email ID which was given on the screen within 2 days of your this lecture, and with your student ID within 2 days.